Hey there, everyone. I'm continuing to add to my list of the best stocks to buy now for Q3 of 2025. And I think that you're going to like the technicals that I have to share with you in this video and the reasons why I think that we could get that outperformance from each of these three companies. So we'll kick things off with Moderna, then move over to Etsy, and then Restoration Hardware. Wait until you see the technicals. We'll take a very zoomed out view, then we'll go to the near term side of things to see that we might get that moment where we really start to continue to pump out beyond the regular market performance and producing that alpha that we're looking for in our portfolios. So guys, not only here on YouTube, but also over at the Discord, I'm one of the panel experts. In that Discord, there's a whole team of us supporting the community members in their journey towards financial freedom and finding alpha in their portfolios. You guys can join the thousands of members who have already signed up by using the link for the Discord down in the description. Use code word doctor when you sign up. It's going to save you 50% off your first month and get you access to everything that the community has available to them. Let's jump into the charts. Like I said, we'll kick things off with MRNA for Moderna. So let's pop this up here. And the monthly chart has to be one of my favorite charts for Moderna. There you can see the ticker symbol in the background because you get to see what happened during that pandemic pump that we had where this thing went up to clearly nearly $500 per share, and now it's all the way down around 30, and this thing was actually down around $23 per share. And let me actually zoom in, because if you can see this orange line at the bottom of the screen, let's try and put it up in the middle here for you. This orange line from where we're at right now, this actually was a price that we peaked out at back in April of 2019. So we have that significant price for support to sit on, assuming that we can get up from there. And if we can, this thing could push to between $45 and $50 per share, representing at least a 50% pump from its current price. And that could happen in the near term. It could happen in this quarter. It could happen in 2025. When I say near term, take a look at the recent price action that we have on this thing, by the way, that we just have month after month of selling. Let me see, this right here was the last profitable month that we've had, and that goes back to July of 24. And then we have to wait until April of 25. Even though this is a red candle, it actually gained a little over 0.5%. And then finally, we get a green candle month in June going up almost 4%. And then so far in July, up almost 10.5%. It's like, well, Doc, did we miss it already then? It sounds like this thing already moved. Well, look at the rounded bottom that we have on this one. The momentum indicator, the RSI down here, is showing maybe just a slight indication that we could be moving upward from here. The biggest thing is to look at the EMAs. We are currently up against, in the month of July here, we're up against the 5-period moving average. Sitting on top of that is going to be a better longer-term bullish sign. The RSI is still rightly in bearish territory. If we drop back to the weekly chart, here's where things start to get exciting. First of all, for the moving averages, we got a candle this past week that put us above the 5 and the 13, potentially giving us that 5 and 13 cross. Should they cross, that is a bullish sign. Now, mind you, we are still definitely in bearish territory, but we're looking for that reversal type scenario, and Moderna could be making that move. It has significantly better revenue performance than it did back in 2019 when it was at these price levels. So I think that it has significantly corrected and de-risked from its nearly $500 price tag, and is coming back from a pretty bruised reputation in terms of the stock market. And you can see that price rise that we got over time, that we're starting to break out of that consolidation period. And then through the volumes, let me go back to monthly for a moment. You can see that we're starting to get to that accumulation type point where starting to load back up on Moderna stock. So with the moving averages and with the RSI increasing, though still bearish, we could be starting to see a longer term trend for a rise in price for Moderna. And if we go all the way down to the daily chart, we actually have even more near term incentive here. There's the 5 and 13 cross I was talking about with the weekly chart, which can signal bullish movement. Well, look what happened over the past, it looks like 6 days in trading, that we had a candle where we found support at the 5-period EMA with that cross of the 5 over the 13, closed above the 50, came back and retested the 5, opened above the 50, rocket ship, and here we are with a little bit of indecision. Now, mind you, we could give a little bit back in the near term, and if we look at the RSI here, we are in bullish territory. So daily, bullish, but near overbought. Not quite there. We could sell a little bit. We'll see. On a weekly basis, we are rising for momentum, but not yet at that point where we're across the 50 into bullish territory. But we could be seeing the start of that And this starting point, like I said, could have that wild outperformance. At least 50% should be able to get up to that $45 to $50 price range for Moderna. And so that keeps me excited about that. And then on a monthly basis, when we look at this one, like I said, we're still sitting at 33. That is definitely bearish, and then just showing the smallest little bit of inflection. If we can get the monthly to really move up above this yellow moving average that's at the bottom of your screen here. There we go. I can actually move that up your screen here if you give me a moment. If we can move this purple above the yellow, that would show us that we've moved up above that 14-period moving average for the RSI, signaling that the RSI itself could start to move higher, moving back into more of a bullish sentiment. Moving up above 50 is where we start to get the bullish momentum out of that. Like I said, we're really down towards the bottom at the moment. So let me drop that back down to the bottom where I prefer it to be. There we go. So that's Moderna, and we want to watch out for that one. Hopefully we get that outperformance that we're looking for Moderna. And like I said, I think Q3 could be that time that we start seeing it. It could last through at least the rest of 2020. I'm saying Q5, 2025. There we go. Not Q5. That's weird. So in any case, that 5-period monthly moving average is that sticking point right now, and that happens to be at $30.86. If we can sit on top of that, that really does help on a monthly basis for that longer term trend. I think the very first thing that we want to be watching for on that weekly basis is that we get that 5 and 13 cross, that we keep that price action moving on top of the moving averages. Here's the candles dangling off the bottom. That's bearish. And if we might have to go back for a while to actually see a bullish part of this. There we go. We'll look at this part right here. This is what bullishness looks like when you can see that we're riding on top of the 5-period EMA. And when we start to get mixed, that's where things can change on us, or we at least lose some of that momentum and start to trade sideways. So that's Moderna, MRNA. It's my first pick in this video for that outperformance for Q3 of 2025, maybe even through the rest of 2025. Etsy is the next one. Check out this monthly chart for Etsy. We are definitely down in de-risked territory here as well, starting to pivot from this low that we had back in April, where we actually bottomed out at about $40.05 after this thing peaking, once again, one of those pandemic pick stocks, going all the way up to over $300 per share, now trading just at, we'll call it the mid 50s from where it's at right now. And you guys can see the increased volumes that we've gotten over these past several months. I think that we're starting to get in that accumulation. Now, this one's second because the momentum on a monthly basis, I'm going to stretch this out here for you so you can see it. We are starting to get early signs of a rise. So if July ends up being a good month for Etsy, ETSY is that ticker symbol that we're looking for, and 1M here shows you that it's every candle's 1 month. It's the monthly chart that we're looking at. We're still in bearish territory, better looking RSI, better climb. You can actually see that cross where we have the purple above the yellow, so we're above the moving average for the momentum. That is a near-term early sign of good things coming for us. If we put up the moving averages on this, the EMAs, we are actually above the 5 EMA, but still down below the 13. And so that 13 EMA, this is showing us some better near-term price action than what we got from Moderna, which still has a little bit to go to prove itself. So if we can get on top of that 13 EMA, that sets us up for that crossing type potential. You guys, by the way, can see back in December and then also in June that we got some wild selling pressure. But I think that that momentum climb is going to continue in the near term. If we move out to the weekly chart, well, we popped up, had a nice wild May, June, and then as we got into the first week of June, I should say, as we got into the second week of June, ripped right back down, caught support actually at the 13 week. And by the way, we actually have a tangle right now where the 5 is trying to cross back up over the 50 week that we're looking at, the 50 EMA here. We're up above the 13. So we have some bullish structures happening with bullish momentum on a weekly basis, rightly down near 53. That is absolutely perfect. So monthly RSI showing early signs of rising. Weekly RSI just reset all the way back to perfectly bullish, getting us away from that overbought territory. And then if we drop down to a daily basis on this, we have just rightly crossed back up over 50, and this moving average, the 14-period moving average for the RSI as well. And even better, check out the moving averages that we have here. We have the 5 crossing the 50, the 13's already above it, the 200's above it. We could get that golden cross with the EMAs. If we put up the simple moving averages just for a moment, we actually are near that golden cross moment as well for Etsy. where that 50 simple moving average crosses up over that 200-day. Now, mind you, we have the 20-day right there. Getting on top of that's going to be important because it could be seen right now as a reversion to the mean at about $56 per share. But if we can get on top of that, then the reversion to the mean should give us those bullish bounces that we're looking for, where we come down, bounce off the moving average, and then head higher. We have the 20 above the 200 and the 50. Getting the 50 up above the 200 is going to be even better. And moving that 100 period up above the 200 is going to be great. So Etsy, I think it could be time that we start to see that outperformance. I think the momentum is just about right. This short, I called this short as it was happening. I watched this candle happen. I was like, oh man, the RSI sitting up at almost 87. This thing's probably going to turn around, especially with that indecisiveness. The next day, we got that rip back down, all the way down to the 100 EMA for support, giving us a higher low than what we had before. And we also got a higher high than what we had. How far back do we have to go? We have to go back a ways. This peak over here is higher than what we had back in December. So we have higher lows, higher highs. This thing could be starting its march back up here in Q3, and we're still pretty early in July. So we'll have to watch and see what we get. But this is definitely my second pick in this video for the best stocks to buy now for Q3. Now, mind you, none of this is financial advice. I can never really tell you what to buy or sell. These are my opinions for what's best to buy or sell for me, for my portfolio, for my long-term positions, and trying to get a hold of that alpha. I will offer the insights that I see, the information that I have, and you can include that in your due diligence that can help you to make your investment and trading decisions. Mind you, if you would like to have a community surrounding you, thousands of people with a whole team of experts there waiting to also help you throughout that process, offering the news, information, opportunities, the trades with receipts, buys, sells. There's also live training, learning materials. There's an Ask the Expert channel. The Discord is waiting for you. The link's in the description. Code word doctor, 50% off your first month's sign up. I think you're going to find out that you're going to stay around for the value that is offered to you, because it can pay back in dividends if you adhere to the principles and the information that are shared over there and follow the trends that are also happening in the markets as well. And if you really want to know the impact of the technicals that I'm sharing, there's a course down in the description for technical analysis through Stockmo Academy. And I also use options to build out the alpha in my portfolio as well, whether it's 0 DTE options with some day trading, or if it's longer term options, including leaps sometimes that I would like to use. There's also an options course down in the description as well. It still goes through Stockmo Academy. Click on that link. Code word doctor is going to give you a massive discount when you sign up. Bundling the courses gives you another discount. So bundle courses, use code word doctor. That's going to give you maximum savings for lifetime access for those courses, and they are pristine for helping you to understand what's happening in the markets and how to leverage that information to your advantage. There's even another Discord that goes with that offers that learning community, that if you have questions about the nuances of what's happening in the courses and what to do in specific scenarios, that community can also be of significant value to you. Guys, with that said, let's get into restoration hardware and we'll wrap things up here. So for restoration hardware, once again, starting at the monthly chart here, this thing just had a rough time. I honestly think that the trade deal with Vietnam could do it a lot of good, that we could start to see that outperformance come in. Now, the thing is right now, will we start to see sales volumes pick up? I'm not sure. It might happen, especially if we avoid recession, if we're not in that recessionary period of things. And right now, we don't have perfect evidence that says that we are. So right now, this is purely based on the technicals, but we have an RSI that's starting to belly here, that's starting to just show early signs of rising on a monthly basis. We're still down below the 5-month EMA on this thing, but we could absolutely move higher. If we drop down to the weekly chart, we can actually see that we're starting to get that price rise in there. We're also starting to get an RSI that is also rising. So not bullish yet, but rising. There's a momentum build happening here that also, combined with the moving averages, the 5 and the 13, and I'll take down the candles for a moment so you can see, if we can get that 5 over the 13 on a weekly basis, along with the rising RSI, this thing can really start to move on us and can give us the outperformance potentially up to about $340 per share, which is about 65-70% upside from where the price sits right now. And that could happen in this Q3 to end of 2025 time period. I still think that that outperformance is coming for us with the signals that are being sent out in the near term here. If we drop down to a daily basis, and I'll put the candles back up in a moment, I just want to show you with the EMAs that are on here, we have a 5 over 50 cross. We already had the 5 over the 13. The 13 over the 50 is a wildly bullish thing to see. The RSI sitting at 62, which is absolutely perfect. Let's put the candles back on for some context. There we go. And you guys can see the selling pressure that we had back here on a Friday back in June the 13th. And now we're starting to see that price rise as we caught support at the 5 and the 13 with that price build. And we currently have the lows that are rising. We have the tops coming down, leading to this consolidation pattern happening. And this is where that $340 price tag comes in. If we're able to break above this top trend line, that can allow us to experience this amount of move as late as over here, maybe even more depending on when it breaks out, get the retest. But I think we're seeing early signs of a massive rise coming to Restoration Hardware. So that's why this also makes the list for the best stocks to buy now in Q3 of 2025. So for this one, for Restoration Hardware, the momentum on a daily basis is absolutely there, not overbought. Hitting resistance right now. You can see that most recently happening on Wednesday of last week. Again, breaking up above that, and we could see that soon. Breaking up above that is the signal that we're looking for. When you break a consolidation pattern like a symmetric triangle pattern like this, you want to go up above, you want to bounce, and then you want to blast off. That's what I'm looking for that retest of this support turned into resistance, followed by that next movement, which should then allow us on this weekly basis to start to see that trading up above the 13 period, which should allow the 5 to cross the 13, giving us further bullish signs, and that momentum just keeps on. It's like a cascading effect, and that's why it's called a momentum type trade, is that you kind of get a slow step, and it's like, I don't know if you've ever tried to move a wheelbarrow or something like that, a big heavy one full of dirt. You lift it up and you take that first step and you really have to lean into it and push. What the daily chart's showing us that we already had that lean in and that push, and that we're starting to build up that movement where it's easier to move, and then we're picking up speed on that thing, and that momentum continues to glide, and then pretty soon it starts to push, and like you don't even really have to try anymore. The wheelbarrow just kind of takes itself forward after that. And so that's what we're looking at for, well, really any one of these three that we're looking at, but our Restoration Hardware here seems to already have the wheels going in motion, and now it's a matter of sort of riding that wave and getting pulled along with that momentum that it already has. Potentially, especially if we hit it on the monthly chart, the monthly RSI, that's the big one that signals that longer term trend. We want to watch for those early builds because they can have wild impacts. Let me just show you one thing with Big Bear AI, even though it's not about this, but it does show you what I mean when I talk about getting that momentum build and hitting the right moment. So a little teachable moment here for you, BBAI. This is one that was in my best penny stocks to buy now, and is also on my list for the best stocks for outperformance in Q3. So let me take down the technicals on this, and we'll just talk about the moving averages. So daily up right now close to 80. You can see that momentum build that we have and the price action that went along with it. I've been tracking this thing for a while, been covering it here on YouTube since May 20th was that time. But look at the weekly RSI that we had that build happening and then blast off, because when you look at the monthly version of this, look at that climb that you have, that slow, steady climb month after month after month. And then back here, back in November to December, is where you get that first breakout moment with wild price performance that took it over $10 per share. We came back and retested 50 with a further climb, moving us just wildly. The wheelbarrow was rolling. We were getting pulled forward by this thing eventually, where, I mean, hopefully that you were a bull and you were sitting on top of this thing and just getting propelled forward with it or pulled forward with it like I was. And if you were a bear, it probably didn't feel too good. You were probably trying to drag your feet, but you just couldn't stop it because there was too much momentum getting it going. So what we're looking for each of these three that I shared and the others that I've shared in my other videos is you're looking for that climb for the monthly to see a stock that's been beat up over time, where the weekly is showing that we're getting fresh into bullish territory. The weekly is just about to get there. It's almost there, or it's just into bullish territory. And then the monthly will make that cross as the weekly continues to play out. And guys, that's why I picked these three. And if you guys want to see my technicals, my other buys, sells, news, information, I'm just one of the panel experts over at the Discord. Remember that link's in the description. Also remember code word doctor so that you get that discount when you sign up for the earner tier. Same thing for the courses. When you sign up for those, one-time lifetime access fee. The bundle along with code word doctor is going to be the maximum savings that you're going to get. And like I said, either one of those two things, if you really dig in and lean into it and really push towards advancing yourself, it can pay back in dividends what you have put into it in terms of the knowledge that you gain and the expertise that you gain with these financial markets, with the stocks, the cryptos that we talk about, and then you know how to lean in and when to lean in and what exactly to do about it. How heavy do you go with it? Guys, that's what I have for you in this video. Let me know what you think of the best stocks to buy for Q3. What do you think about the 3 that I've shared in this video? Let me know down in the comments of this video. Say hi if you want to. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Don't forget about those links, guys. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.